Thank you, Fran, and good afternoon, Cheltenham. Cheltenham, I have rarely found myself in agreement with Rishi Sunak. But when the Prime Minister said that education was his main spending priority, because it is the closest thing we have to a silver bullet, it is the best economic policy, the best social policy, the best moral policy. It is the best way to spread opportunity and create a more prosperous society. It is hard to disagree. But if only his rhetoric came close to the reality. I am all in favour of a minimum service level in education. As a minimum, our country should spend the OECD average of 5% of national income on education instead of the current 3.9%. Students should have a minimum expectation that they are taught by a subject specialist in a building that isn't crumbling, with adequate resources, a well-stocked library, working IT systems, space for sports, play and facilities for music, drama and creative pursuits. There should be a minimum level of provision for our students with special needs and an appropriate level of medical support to address the mental health crisis our young people face. Our students should be taught an exciting, balanced curriculum that is not only meaningful to them, but inspires a love of learning rather than experiencing education as a cog in an endless exam factory. They should be taught by a teacher who isn't consistently exhausted from the unnecessary tasks they're expected to pursue, by a support staff member who are not paid so poorly that they're forced to leave their job they love to work in a supermarket. As a minimum service level, our children's parents and their carers should be paid enough to afford decent housing, to heat their homes and to provide their children with a balanced, nutritious diet. These seem like fairly sensible minimums to me. But these are not the minimums that this corrupt government is talking about. The sort of minimums our legal system should be concentrating on are minimum jail terms for the people responsible for the Horizon scandal and those who ripped off the NHS for millions with dodgy PPE deals. This legislation is yet another attack on our democratic rights, the democratic rights of working people, whether in their unions or on the streets. Now, we all welcome the commitment from a prospective Labour government to repeal this legislation. We would expect this to be the first of their actions, but they must go further. They must repeal all anti-union laws introduced by successive Tory governments. And frankly, Cheltenham, it was shameful. It was a shameful promise by Tony Blair in 1997 that he would ensure that British workers would continue to have to work under the most restrictive rights in the Western world under a Labour government. Because trade unionists are not the enemy within. We build the houses, we drive the buses and the trains, we grow the food, we tend to the sick, we care for the infirm, we educate the young, we put out the fires. We do everything that makes society function, and the COVID pandemic provided all evidence beyond reasonable doubt who is the key to our economy and who lives off our backs. So we will resist this injustice. We will fight for our rights. And if we do it with enough vigour, we will build a society in which our children are housed, fed and educated. Thank you.